Hello, everyone. This is Amy Dean. Hello, hello, hello. I would love to say hi to you. So, if you could let me know you are here in the comments, please let me know. There is a link to click to make sure I can see your name, and that is in the description of this video today. So, please make sure you click that to give StreamYard, which is the platform I'm using. And basically what happens is once you click that link, what happens is I'll be able to see your name instead of Facebook user, which of course makes it much better for us to connect. So also want to check in. How's the sound? Awesome. So we are doing good technology wise. Thank you so much for letting me know. And so, of course, as people are starting to come on here, I know not everybody might want to say hi or say hello in the comments, but I really want to personalize this for you, answer any questions that come up along the way. And so please do let me know you're here. Just say, hi, I'm here. You don't even have to say your name if you don't want to, but please let me know where you're actually, from right now, where you're coming in from, what state, what country. I just really want to get to know you. So, on that note, let me just start with the very beginning here for those of you who are brand new to our community. So, my name is Amy Dean, and I started this community in order to help empaths, any healers, service based practitioners to allow you to really navigate or understand your spiritual awakening journey. And really, the whole purpose is so we can realign with our higher selves. And I want to help you live an awakened life. So, that is what this is all about. And I'm a holistic therapist, for those of you who don't know, and an ascension coach. And I'm here to guide you in our weekly live streams. So maybe you're someone that struggles with anxiety. Maybe you have perfectionism, shame. Maybe you feel a sense of powerlessness. Maybe you want to heal your inner child. Maybe you just struggle with being an empath. So every week on Fridays at 2 p.m. Pacific time, I teach topics to help guide you back to your wholeness, to your true nature. So please mark your calendars every single week to attend live whenever you can, because that's how we build community, is to come together and make spiritual awakening a priority, right? Over, whatever we can, so we can come back together. So want to just see, I'm going to be checking in with the comments. Hi, Dawn. It is so nice to see you. Hello. It says Facebook user. So hi. And if that's how you want to show up, that is perfectly fine. But if you'd like me to see your name, please just give StreamYard the permissions. There's a little URL at the, I think it's in the description. So just click that and I'll be able to see who you are. Hello, 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 everyone. It's so nice to see you here. So what we are going to be talking about, this is going to be really exciting. We're going to go into why it's important to ascend to the fifth dimension. And of course, how to do it, right? Because we want to know the how in order to make this more practical for us. So if you don't already have the ability to take notes, please do get out a pen and paper if you're old-fashioned like me sometimes and you like to have that, or just get out something that you can type with so that you are able to dive in and get involved in the content today. I'm going to take little breaks as we go along and just check in with you if any questions or comments arise throughout our little training here. So let's begin just at the very beginning. Let's talk about why we even want to ascend to the fifth dimension. And I think it might be more helpful to say, what is the fifth dimension even? And where are we now? And what is really happening in this world? So I like to say we have a third dimensional problem. Let's start there. We are living in a third dimensional world, right? We call this physical reality. You can touch things, you can taste things. It's very, very heavy, right? Very dense in this dimension. So as a whole, right, in this dimension, we are so outward focused in doing, right, instead of being. And our lives are really wrapped up in that. And unfortunately, as you may have noticed, this tendency to push ourselves to do, and to set aside our spiritual practice is actually taking a toll not only on our spiritual health, but on our emotional and our physical health as well. As you know, collectively, many of us are tired, we are burnt out, we are a very stressed out society. And of course, unless we really understand the impact of this on our mental, emotional, and physical health, of course, end relationships, we're going to be stuck in this endless loop of believing that we must do before we can come back to who we really are. And here's the interesting thing about this. While we're doing, what we're trying to avoid is feeling, right? We don't want to feel all of that, all the difficult emotions we have to experience as human beings. So we're constantly trying to just drive ourselves into this momentum forward. Now, I'm sure you can imagine, right? What's underneath all that, right? What is underneath these difficult emotions that we carry? And I have to tell you, it's something beautiful, right? It's something amazing. And that's who you really are. That's your higher self. That's your true essence. Because these emotions are just like clouds, right? They might be heavy clouds at times, but these clouds are just masking the blue sky of who you really are. So what the whole idea of this here is that we want to understand that we are getting lost within the doing. We are constantly pushing ourselves to the point of just taking us further and further away from what truly matters. And so that's why it is so important that we understand the fifth dimension, which, by the way, exists within us. And I'll go a little bit more into that here. But this whole idea of the fifth dimension is that it is where our higher self resides. It is the dimension of unconditional love. It's where we need to be within ourselves to feel centered and grounded and truly whole within who we really are. And we just get so lost because the world tells us the more you do, the more you are, right? The more worth you have, the more people, care about you, the more you achieve, the more success you're going to have. We just have a backwards way of looking at things when we think about it from a spiritual perspective, because you are already whole and complete. There is absolutely nothing, and I want to say that twice. There is absolutely nothing that you can add to yourself that isn't already there. That's important anyway. So, what that comes down to is we need to find out how to get out of this dense third dimensional state of consciousness. And that doesn't mean leaving our bodies, by the way. We're going to stay planted here within the body because we can access this dimension within us. So, before I go any further, I'm going to check in with everyone just to see. And let me know if any questions arise as we go along here, or any insights, even anything that's coming up. I'd love to be in dialogue with you as we go along here. So let's just let's go into some of the let's say main ideas, right, of the fifth dimension. It sounds so big and vast, doesn't it, to say fifth dimension, right? It's so huge. But in truth, the fifth dimension is just a state of consciousness. It is just a state of consciousness in our minds. And you might be tempted to look for some other reality outside yourself to understand this. But the only place you can discover this dimension is within yourself. So you're already familiar with this third dimension, right? As I talked about. And in this dimension, we are stuck in duality, which means we're stuck in right or wrong, yes and no, this or that, right? And we have to make choices. And it's very difficult as a spiritual being, to be quite honest, to come to this dense third dimension and have to learn through that. So the ego state of mind is heavily centered in this third dimensional state of consciousness. And this is where we also get stuck in our own mind, as far as our belief systems go and who we think we are. So the whole identity crisis thing tends to happen here. We think we are a certain person with a certain history. And the truth is, you are way beyond that. So let's talk about a little more of the unconditional love factor in the fifth dimension. So this state of consciousness is a place of inner calm and peace. When you are seated within this dimensional consciousness, you are present. You are not afraid. This is where the light of who you are truly shines through. And this is where flow happens. Nothing is graspable. And you really feel as if you're coming home to yourself. And this is why in this third dimension, we often feel disconnected or confused or lost or stuck, because deep inside we know that we're missing something. If we are not experiencing this calm or this deep truth of love within us, then we absolutely know within us that something is missing, because it's just natural for us to know that. So it's something, something to think about here is that negativity doesn't exist within this state. It's this uplifting sensation of knowing you're connected to everyone and everything, and there is no separation from the universe or the divine, however you might frame that for yourself. So, as we're ascending to the fifth dimension, we're talking about words such as enlightenment or self-realization. And often we tend to think of that as something difficult to attain, something difficult to truly tap into. However, it is not only attainable to ascend to this state. The first step, of course, is belief that you can ascend to this state, but it is the direction that humanity needs to head in for us to fully evolve to our, to our potential, because it's, of course, a choice, naturally, right? It's a choice. But while it's a choice, it's also, if we think about our evolution and, our healing potential as a collective humanity, we need to get there, right? We need to, in order to truly grow and heal and work through the suffering that we're going through right now collectively. So, what I want to do is go over ways that you can actually understand this fifth dimension, ways to really allow that to come into your energy body so you feel this on a daily basis. And then I want to go into a little bit of the Akashic records as well, because that is also where we find the Akashic records, is in the fifth dimensional space. And something I did forget to mention is that I've been doing Akashic records readings for over 10 years now. It's been a calling of mine, and I've just explored it so deeply. I found so much peace and joy within the Akashic records. And from there, that's how I was introduced to the fifth dimensional space. So these are some tips that came to me through my own records, and I'd be happy to share more as we go along if you have any questions as well. So, number one, let's start with how we're going to do this. So, do make sure you're taking notes as we go along here. So, first, we need to make sure we understand, right? In this third dimension, we are busy, we are task focused, we are in doing mode, right? That is the energy of the third dimension. The fourth dimension is astral. It's much more, it's lighter, we'll say, right? And when you're starting to enter that sleep state, or when you're entering what I call the alpha brainwave state, it's very subtle. And you don't really notice that difference from one dimensional state to the next, but it's there. And the way to start to bridge that gap between the third and fifth dimensions, right, by getting to the fourth, is we must quiet our mind. We have to. It is so important. And not to say that means that all of a sudden your thoughts are gone. By no means does it mean that. But it does mean that your mind quiets down and there's a natural awareness coming from your heart, coming from your soul, that you are at peace within. So the mind is either a responsible or an irresponsible creator, right? If we think about it that way. And as we quiet this mind, which is very powerful, right? It's creating a reality in every moment. As we are quieting the mind, creativity naturally flows through us, right? And then there's no room for any negativity to come through. And then these divine messages just come right to us naturally. But before that, before we quiet our mind, there's just way too much internal clutter, right? Too much mind junk, I say sometimes. And it just keeps us from truly getting in touch with our spiritual potential. And, often it's hard to stay completely in the fifth dimension when you're starting this out, while you're starting to quiet your mind a little more, because our planet isn't quite ready, right, for this intense 5D experience just yet. We're working towards this, but we're going to get pulled in, right? Pulled back down into the third dimension at times. So we have to be really gentle with ourselves as we go along here, and know that meditation is one of the best ways to start to quiet the mind. Now, you might already have a meditation practice and you might feel like it's stuck, or you're not really getting very far with that, or there's something coming up for you that you've, come as far as you think you can, but you're not really sure. Maybe there's something else. But I have to tell you, even with accessing your Akashic records, the first step is mindfulness and meditation, because we have to learn how to work with our energy. And if our energy, which, it's a lot of it's mind energy, right, that shows up in our body as well. But if we don't learn to work with this energy, we're just going to keep seeking outside ourselves for something to calm that down. But in truth, it just takes sitting quietly with whatever's there. And yes, it will be heavy. And yes, it will be hard to sit with at first. However, it does get easier. So if you are new to your meditation journey, or if you're stuck on, the meditation practices you're trying now, please do let me know in the comments, because I will get in touch with you. I am a mindfulness instructor as well, and I'd love to help move through those stuck places if you'd like. So please let me know if you need any help with that. So let's go into what the Akashic records are, because some of you might not have seen my previous trainings. So the Akashic records it's basically this etheric library of all of your soul's records. And in many ways, this is the foundational place of the fifth dimension. And this is where you have access in the Akashic records to your past, everything that's being recorded in the present, and of course, any future possibilities as well. And this whole idea here is that you really want to understand that this dimension exists for you. It exists so you can access that other plane of understanding your soul's purpose, understanding why you're here, what's important to you, what you should be doing, right, from your soul perspective. And of course, it's all about understanding that these energies are to be embodied, right? These fifth dimensional energies are here to be embodied. And we can absolutely do that through the Akashic records. So I want to offer some other ways that you can enter into this fifth dimensional state right now, and then also do just a little exercise so you can see that you have already been in the fifth dimension. Maybe it was brief, maybe it was just a few moments here and there, but I know you have, because everybody has had a little taste at some point, even if it was just for a moment. So let's think about, so we've talked about meditation, right, as an option here. Another really important thing to do is surrender. This is all about letting go, right? The biggest problem we have as human beings is control, right? We want to control everything, don't we? And even when we don't want to control, we want to control what we don't want to control, right? It's just, oh my goodness, it just makes my head spin to think about it. We are just so conditioned to try to make things happen. And because we're trying to make things happen, we don't notice that everything's already happening. It is flowing and it's okay. We just have to step out of the way, just for a little bit, just for a moment, to allow the natural energy to flow through us, to allow the divine to just channel that good energy that we need in our body and in our mind. So we have to make space every day, right? This is not just meditation. This is also just quiet time just to notice what's coming up in me. What am I holding on to? What am I trying to control in my life right now that I would be better served in all areas of my life if I just take one small step back, just to trust, right? Just to be without fear for a moment and just allow it to be here. We're not trying to change it, but we don't have to act on it either, right? We don't have to leap every time fear tells us to jump off a cliff, right? It's not what we want to do here. So we want to understand that in truth, right? In truth, the universe is on your side. And there is so many helping spirits, so many divine beings that are guiding you in this moment as well. So we have to start letting go and understanding that this is what's necessary for us to truly make progress on our spiritual path. And the more that you're in touch with this, the more that you're quiet every day, the more time you spend in meditation, even if it's just small little glimpses throughout your day, even if it's just noticing, oh, there's fear showing up in me. I'm going to be kind to myself right now, and I'm going to learn to trust one small step at a time. Just that every day is going to open the portal to the fifth dimension to you. So I want to see, are there any questions? Do you have any comments so far about this topic? Is there anything that is interesting to you? Anything you want to know more about? Please do let me know. I'm more than happy to answer that for you. And something else, once you're ready, we're going to go into that just short little exercise I talked about just a few moments ago, just to get in touch with that inner knowing that you're already connected, right? We don't have to do all these spiritual tricks, right, to get to the fifth dimension. It's really just about letting go and just getting quiet. It is so incredibly simple that, and for those of you who don't know me very well yet, I'm all about simplicity. My whole perspective on life is about simplicity. So whatever we can simplify and make easy is my favorite thing to do, because I feel like that's in line with our higher self, right? I mean, our higher self doesn't complicate things. It just is, right? It's just loving. It's just compassionate. We don't have to overthink or ruminate all the time on things and try to make things happen. It is not necessary. So let me just double check. So no questions right now. Perfect. Okay, no worries. If you do have questions and you're watching the replay, absolutely let me know in the comments still, and I will be sure to answer them. So let's do a little exercise if you're ready. Of course, please make sure you can close your eyes for this, because if you're in a place you can't do that, then by all means do this exercise later. But if you can, just close your eyes, and I just encourage you just to settle in. Just notice, what is my body doing right now? What is happening inside my mind, inside my body? Is there any parts of me maybe right now that are coming up and trying to control my experience? Notice and release. Just let that be here if that's the case. Okay, just bring your attention to your breath as best you can. And as you're bringing attention to your breath, you might notice that your body starts to settle a little more. It's naturally able to settle when you can fully let go. All right, this is that surrender we're practicing here. It's just moment by moment by moment. Good. And as you're breathing in, just very gently, very naturally, just notice if there's anything calling out to you. As I just guide you through a little visualization, I want you just to consider, as you go back in time, in history, in your mind's eye, think of a time where you had something like a peak experience, or you felt so much love or joy in your heart. Maybe it was a time when you were experiencing the beauty of nature. Maybe this was a fleeting experience, and that's okay. Maybe it's when you held your newborn baby for the first time, or looked into your dog's eyes and just saw the love staring back at you. So just take a moment and just scan your experience. Go back in time just for a minute here. Good. And just find one for now. If others are coming up, that's wonderful too. We can come back to them. But just bring up one in this moment, and I want you just to put yourself there. Put yourself back in that moment when you felt so much love, so much joy, the immensity of maybe watching the sunset over the water, over the beach, maybe. Maybe it was being in the forest and hearing the birds just in the trees, the wind blowing up against your face. Maybe it was just being in relationship with somebody and that connection that you were feeling in that moment. So choose that one experience you've had and just sink into it. Bring a smile to your face. Place your hand on your heart if you can. Good. And just knowing in this moment that even as you tap into this experience, that this experience comes from you, because you are love. That is who you are at your very core. So you might even say to yourself, hand on your chest, I am love. Just deeply feeling that here. Good. And just letting go of anything else right now that doesn't feel like love, any control factors, any aspects of you that have been holding on so tight. Just know that you have a choice in this moment. You do not have to hold on to that anymore. Every time you get lost or stuck, remember that experience that just came up. Remember that one time or several times where you truly felt connected, because that was the opening. That was the portal right there. And there will be more, and they will get longer, right? And you'll be able to feel them even deeper. And just take your time. And when you are ready, just gently come back to the room, opening your eyes. And please do let me know in the comments if there is anything you would like me to know about your experience, if you'd like to share what that was like from your heart, or just a few words about what you felt during this meditation. And I would love to chat with you if so. And while you're doing that, while you're leaving a comment, also want to let you know that in May, we are going to be focusing heavily on the Akashic records. So as I said before, I go live every single Friday at the same time. So please mark your calendars, make some space for yourself. It's 2 p.m. Pacific time. There is a time zone converter under announcements if you need to find out what that is in your time zone. And in May, I'm going to be exploring every single Friday. It's going to lead into the next more on the Akashic records, what to expect, how to really utilize the records, and how to understand how it can be used for our soul's purpose and of course our highest good and our spiritual ascension. So that's something to stay tuned for as well. And also, if you are feeling like I'm just so stuck right now, I just really need some additional tools and resources. If you want something a little more personalized, I'd be happy to jump on a complimentary call with you if that's something you need. I do this for all members, somewhere between 10 to 15 minutes. We'll jump on a call. I just get to know what your needs are and provide you some free tools and resources so that you feel like they're personalized for you. Super easy, and really it makes a big difference because then you have the tools to get going, right, and start to make some changes with that. So if you feel like you need that, I'm more than happy to help. I'm here for you. I'm here for this community. So please do reach out if you need it. Please send me a message in the comments and I will be in touch with you. In the meantime, I don't see any questions, so I'm going to leave it at that. I want to thank each and every one of you. Thank you so much for showing up today, for participating in this conversation and in this meditation. And just remember that as you go throughout the rest of your week, the rest of your weekend, that as you start to think about this third dimensional state of consciousness, just sort of see, where can I tweak my habits? Maybe where can I tweak some of the things that where I'm in doing mode, and maybe I can balance that out with a little bit more being. Maybe I can spend just 5 to 10 minutes of quiet time to myself between certain tasks in the day. And I just encourage you to notice what happens for you as you do that. Do you start to have more of those peak experiences which lead you into the fifth dimension? So please inform me, let me know what happens over this weekend, what you experience, and I will be in touch with you in the group as well. Thank you, all of you. Namaste to each and every one of you. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you all next Friday. All right, take care. Bye.